Welcome to your 2021 Ford Mustang Mach-E EV for its first all-electric SUV with the Mustang branding with it. So I am with the first edition premium, and that's just the premium trim with a bunch of fun options attached to it. So let's get into our power figures, then we'll do the outside, then we'll do the inside, and then we'll do the driving impressions itself. So 346 horsepower, 428 pound-feet of torque through an 88 kilowatt per hour battery. Now there's an asterisk with that. It's actually a 98.8 kilowatt per hour battery, but the reason Ford uses the 88 is that's the usable amount, because you can't really all out drain a lithium ion battery. It'll just damage the battery. So well done, Ford. Absolute perk on including real numbers. This premium first edition is the all-wheel drive with a range extender. So I have up to 435 kilometers of range here. Now you can get the all-wheel drive without the range extender, you can get rear-wheel drive with or without the range extender. So depending on what you want, what you need for your lifestyle, your range will change accordingly. If it was me, I would go with this one because I don't like range anxiety, and you can't take something with a lower range, go back to your Ford dealer and go, yeah, you just put some more batteries in there. I decided that this amount of range isn't as good as that amount of range. So choose carefully. Well, Ford says that on a level 1 charge, you can get 5 kilometers of range added per hour. And that's just plug it into your garage, regular household outlet. So you plug it in for 4 hours, 5 kilometers times 4 is 20. So at the end of the 4 hours, you'd have 20 kilometers of range pushed back in. On a level 2 charger, that bumps way up to 32 kilometers per hour that gets pushed back in. So you go for 2 hours again, 32 times 2 is 64. And then finally, if you bump up to a DC fast charge, that's 45 kilometers of range, pop back in per hour. Now, a quick note on these figures that this is the 10% to 80% charge time. Now, Ford says through their DC fast chargers, you can go from 10% to 80% in 45 minutes. And that's really convenient if you're doing a road trip, a longer trip, a cottage trip, whatever it is. You don't have to kind of sit there for, a couple of hours. You stop, stretch your legs, grab something to eat, whatever it is. And 45 minutes goes a lot faster than it seems. And I've done some of the charges on EVs, especially with the DC fast charges. And yeah, 45 minutes doesn't go by as slowly as you may think it does. Difference between the rear-wheel drive and the all-wheel drive. So the rear-wheel drive has 1 electric motor and the all-wheel drive has 2 electric motors. Again, so you'll notice a difference in your power figures depending on what you want and how specifically you want your Mach-E spec. Let's go into driving dynamics. So being an EV, it's torque heavy, 428 pounds, and it's still a bit of a weird feeling for me despite me having driven a lot of EVs. I'm still kind of conditioned to hearing that big roar of the engine pushing me very quickly at higher speeds. But with the EVs, you still have it. So I'm going to come to a dead stop here, and yeah, nobody's around. So just take a look out that window. Yes, my head pushed back a bit, and that's 70. So you definitely have that instant acceleration there, and the quietness. You'll get used to it eventually, and you can also pump in some simulated driving noises. So if you don't like the quiet for whatever reason, there is absolutely a fix for that. So I'm going to jump into the world of one pedal driving now, because it is a one touch away on the infotainment. So I'm going to do a 0 to let's say 35, 40 test here, and we'll watch how it slows down. So 0, dead stop, and I'm up to 40 foot off. There's my foot, or my leg, and you can see things are still going. There's still the propulsion happening. The car is going down, so I'm at 40 right now, and then 39, 38. So it's a very gradual descent speed-wise. So I'm just going to slow the car down completely. And now I'm going to activate the one pedal driving, which is on your infotainment screen, the 15.5 inch one. So we'll get up to 40 again, and you'll see just how quickly I slow down. So we're at 40, there's my leg, and 35, 30, 29, 24, 23, 19. I can't go fast enough. And there it is, the car is stopped. right away. So you can do one pedal driving in the Mustang Mach-E. I guess my quirk, I'm going to take this off for a sec. My quirk with the one pedal driving is because it's such a rapid descent in speed, you might catch somebody behind you off guard. And yes, the brake lights go on when you have the one pedal driving on. It just doesn't slow down automatically without brake lights coming on. So the drivers behind you and around you know that the car is slowing down quickly. But sometimes I find that I don't necessarily have a full trust level in other drivers around me. If somebody's just looking at their phone or they put their head down to look at something, they're not fully paying attention to the road, it might cause a collision. And this is no fault of Fords or any EV manufacturer out there. That's just human behavior for driving. Really, any EV that I drive that has the option for one pedal driving, I do it when there's very few cars around me. And it's just more of an extra level of safety. And it's no shot against Ford or any EV maker. Just if I can minimize my risk by having someone behind me possibly not paying attention, I will every single day, all the time, no questions asked. Cornering and handling are done pretty well. I'm not whipping around turns in the Mach-E, but getting on the highway is no issue, and doing some big 90-degree banks on highways where it goes, let's say, from you're heading west and the highway banks south. You're always given that stable and secure feeling. Booting around the city in Mississauga, no problems at all. Mustang Mach-E does exactly what it's supposed to. The peculiar part here, and I'm going to call it a quirk, is you don't exactly have to relearn how to drive with an EV, but there is absolutely an adjustment process. And for me, it took about a day, I think a day and a half, and everybody's different. And the point I'm getting at here is the brakes are very sensitive. And it took me, about a day and a half to find that sweet spot as far as pressure applied goes, so that I wasn't looking like this guy who just, jams on his brakes when I really meant to go softly, and I wasn't overly sensitive with them as far as using less pressure. It was finding that sweet spot and finding that rhythm of how to drive an EV. Let's talk about the looks. So you will not find a Ford logo anywhere on the body of the vehicle. The one place it is, it's right up here, and it's in the glass. But having the Mustang logo, it's a world famous logo. Like you know it. It's been around for decades and decades, and the images you have, or the logos you have on the side, are the 4 for four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, and the X for the extended range. So I think it's a really nice design. Doors are a little quirky. It takes a bit of getting used to, where it's a push of a button as opposed to a lifting of the latch. They kept the keypad. I think that's a smart move. I wasn't a big fan of the keypad initially, but the more and more I see it and use it, the absolute usefulness of it shines through. A front trunk, frunk. I still think frunk's a funny word. With a nice divider in there, so if you've got a few different things, you can just pop them in there. It's a very sleek design, and I think it looks really sharp. A couple of blinks for me when I first picked it up. I'm like, where are the handles? Where are the door handles? This seems extra sleek. And it's what Ford was going after, and it looks really, really sharp. Very modern design, very, I almost got through that. Very sharp and minimalistic as far as the design lines go. Trunk, easy to open, just one touch underneath. Now with the Premium, you do have the, just wave your foot underneath and it automatically opens. So that's the hands-free foot activated trunk release. Lots of space in the trunk. Your cargo figures are on the screen with the seats both up and down. So there's function galore here. It's not like, there's hardly any space. So you can use this as a replacement for a regular gasoline SUV without any problems. So you don't sacrifice space. Batteries are layered all across the bottom and the floorboards of the vehicle, so it doesn't impede or intrude into any of your useful cargo space. So whether you're taking your kids' family to the cottage or sports practices or whatever it is, or if you're like me, just putting drum sets, guitars, and amps in there, there's a vast amount of space that is usable. Here, LEDs up front. You have the traditional Mustang lights out in the rear. And overall, I like the appearance of the Mustang. It looks really, really sharp. Sorry, Mustang Mach-E. Let's talk about the inside. So, star of the show is the massive 15.5-inch infotainment screen. It pretty much takes up the entire front of the car. You do have a digital dashboard here. I believe it's a little over 10 inches, 10.2 inches. And the interesting thing about this for me, and it's a bit of an irk and it's a bit of a quirk, I don't mind that it's thin and rectangular. I would like to have seen it be integrated into the steering wheel, so when you raise it, it also raises, kind of like the Minis have. But here, if you put your steering wheel down too far or up too far, it can impede just exactly what you're looking at. It's a clean layout itself, very, very minimalistic as far as what Ford's done. So on the right side, you've got your range and your battery percentage. The middle has your speedometer, unless you activate lane centering, and then your speedometer moves all the way to the right. And on the far right is your gear selector. Steering wheel is nice and comfortable. Standard heated steering wheel, standard heated seats as well. Very minimalistic in here overall, and it looks like a really high class job done by Ford. You get the nice cloth pattern, cloth design here, as well as your plastics, and it just looks so sharp. And it's got the double red stitching, cloth covers for your, cloth material for your speaker covers. The Bang & Olufsen sound system sounds so crisp. Lots of storage space here. Wireless charging comes standard on this trim. You got storage underneath the wireless charger. Got a couple of cup holders. Seems to me they're taking away all the obstacles for EV life by saying, yeah, you can still have all the same features and functionality and storage and comfort and bells and whistles. You just miss out on Petro points for the rest of your life. I guess until all Petro Canadas have wireless, or not wireless, plug-in chargers. My irk here is with the large panoramic sunroof. Not that it's fixed, but there's no shade, a retractable sunshade that covers it. And yeah, I know it's tinted, but I don't know, it's a pretty big irk for me. The seats are good. I wish there was a little more side support with them. Not uncomfortable, but I think if I were to pick this up, I'd get one of those Obus Form back supports for myself. And again, everybody's built differently, so you may use it, you may not. So the seats are good, but they're not great for me specifically. I mean, I'm very, very particular about the comfort of my seats. I like a little more support on my sides. Let's talk about the world of safety. There is a very long list on the screen, as you can see right now. Some highlights include blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, lane keep assist, automatic emergency braking, adaptive cruise control, and on and on and on. Definite perk for me by having Ford include all of these as standard safety fare through their Ford Copilot 360 2.0. As we keep evolving in the world of EVs, making it easier to drive, eliminating range anxiety will really make a big difference here. I'm just going to go and take a quick look into the settings. So you've got everything from your phone list to profiles, driver assist, you got your vehicles, general display, clock. But the charge one is the one that's going to be utilized the most. You can have you can schedule your charges. You can go departure and comfort. The Ford Connect app can turn your phone into your key for this. There's really a lot you can do for making your EV, again, a replacement for a traditional vehicle. And Ford's really thought of everything here. And it's really good, especially as a first launch. Usually it takes a couple of years before manufacturers get it right and really hit their stride. But based off the week I've had with the Mach-E, I think Ford's done a terrific job. I don't see any issues. Again, it's only a week of driving. I'm sure a couple of things will come up for some people. But I think Ford's done a terrific job in launching their first SUV EV. And it's the total package for me. And yeah, there's things people, again, will find flaws with. But for me, if I was ready for EV life, I would put this near the top of my list. That's going to wrap it up for the 2021 Ford Mustang Mach-E. Any questions on the vehicle, let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to get you answers as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe, and feel free to tell somebody about the channel who you think might like it. Be well, be healthy, be safe, and I will see you in the next video.